Hey, welcome back to some more Lost Thoughts on the Variable, and that's where we'll start with the title. In a major flip-flop after consulting in Ann Arbor, Michigan with the DeGroots who started the entire Dharma Initiative, Daniel Faraday is in a major flip-flop. Suddenly, whatever happened didn't necessarily happen, and he thinks that he can change the future, or at least that's what he tells Charlotte in those famous swing moments when he tells her she's going to have to leave the island. So he does, in fact, live out that moment. So now Daniel shows up and says to Miles, haven't seen you in a while, and they clearly remember each other, which is interesting because that doesn't always happen. And the first thing that Daniel wants to know is where's Jack? Because somehow he knows that Jack is back in 1977, and he doesn't think that they actually belong there. And Jack is able to tell him that they got on a plane, and now he explains, oh yeah, did my mom use that Destiny thing? So he's totally in a flip-flop mode, but you can tell that there's a lack of trust between him and his mother. And that plays out as she dispatches the girlfriend and is very terse. And it brings us back to the whole looping theory, the relationship between mom and son. And she's very emotional because she knows she's sending her son back to his ultimate death. She's also learned when they meet at the Jughead nuclear bomb that he is really smart, and this has all really worked out. But as the looping plays out, she also finds out that all this time jumping costs him his memory. So she knows that at some point in his life, she has to, as she relives the moment with her son, give him something that will allow him to chronicle everything so that he can do things to the fullest of his potential. So he's written in the book, and he knows exactly when Dr. Chang is going to show up, and he relives that moment that he's lived before, that moment when he goes down into the orchid. But he knows that he has to live out that moment a little bit differently. So he knows he wants to confront Chang because they need to get those people off the island, or at least they think that's their mission. So Chang doesn't buy it. Miles is shocked. Now you have to consider Miles. Is he the variable? Because think about it, he's going to be stuck in a tough spot. If he goes to his father to confirm what Daniel Faraday planted as a seed in his head so that he'll do what he has to do, he thinks about what's going to happen. He's going to be taken off the island as a child, which leads to this god-awful existence in Encino, California. And yet it seems like life could be much better on the island because that's where he still has a relationship with his father, as he saw in the window. So that's that. Then there's Sawyer. The long con is absolutely coming apart. And for those of us who believe that this is sort of a game between Ben and Hawking and Widmore, Sawyer says the most unbelievable thing. He says, maybe we should go back to the beach and start at square one. Then, when Daniel Faraday shows up with Jack, who asks Miles, what's the deal? Is he still crazy? Miles says, he's taken it to a new level. That sounds like video game chat to me. Don't want it to be that, but it certainly sounds like that. Now you get to Widmore and Hawking. They obviously have had a boy named Daniel Faraday. They seem to be pointed to the same mission, which is somehow prevent their ultimate deaths. They don't know, and she doesn't know what's going to happen to Desmond because they're at the end of the looping. They're on that last line of time that hasn't had a jump skip to it yet. So things are playing out, and they don't know how this is going to play, and that makes them really uncomfortable. And the big slap to the face, I think that's for the lifetime that they never had, being a normal husband and wife raising a very smart little boy. Now there is Desmond and Penny. Don't love the fact that Penny left little Charlie in with a nurse she never met, but she goes in and Desmond repeats to her this promise that I think ultimately has to be broken. I will never leave you again. But I think we all know that Desmond will have to go back somehow. So this threat, and I threw this out last week, that this island completely mirrors the world as we know it. From the beginning of ancient civilization, someone becoming a god, and now they exist, and they actually have a Berlin Wall. Please, Mr. Gorbachev, tear that down. And they also have this threat of nuclear war hanging over their heads. So as Ms. Hawking meets her son and sees that he has these thoughts of the nuclear bomb, she also knows that he has a total lack of understanding as to what the damage will be if that nuclear bomb goes up and the island could in fact be destroyed. So she knows at some point in her life she has to be there ready when the moment repeats itself to kill her son when he comes to find her. Crazy stuff. Now what happens? Who has the fulfillment prophecy to go into that book and see if they can find a way to blow up that bomb and get that 815 to land safely in Los Angeles? I think it may be Jack, who has lived out his life, not knowing the damage that also could be caused when a nuclear bomb goes off. Next week, we'll see who follows the leader.